Scatterbrain Syndrome, what does that mean?
Scatterbrain Syndrome? So a lot of good entrepreneurs, business owners, independent contractors, real estate agents, loan officers, leaders, we're all entrepreneurs, right? And we have an entrepreneurial spirit. So when you're in charge of your own destiny, in a sense, you're always thinking on things, what you can do. At least those that want to be or have some level of success are always thinking of a lot of different things. And one of the things I struggled with early in my career was I was really all over the map, or I felt all over the map. I didn't feel comfortable with how I managed my day-to-day because I had a lot of things on my mind and I was trying to do too much with that. And in trying to do too much, what happens is you don't accomplish what's important. And so the priorities get out of whack because you're dabbling in things, and that doesn't do anybody any good. So the scatterbrain syndrome is people that have a hard time doing simple tasks because they're not organized enough in their day-to-day routine. So those that don't even take the time to, like, for example, I struggled with years ago, I struggled with my calendar. And it was funny, I was at an event one night, and this is probably a decade ago, and somebody that's a friend of mine, but I viewed as competition, he showed me, we were talking at this event down south, it was at a racetrack, and he had showed me, we had made plans for lunch, and he opened up his phone, and I looked at his phone and I saw his calendar because he was gonna put the lunch in there. And I looked at his calendar and I was like, man, this guy has everything structured. And this time I was in the field, I was selling real estate, but I was starting to build JMG, and it hit me that I must do better. And so that pushed me because I was always like, I knew what I had coming up, but I wasn't really documenting things. And then as I started to grow the company, what I started to realize I wasn't doing is I would get off track at what was important. I would get off track in terms of what I think the priorities really are. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And what's helped me, and I actually believe, I truly believe, I'm pretty darn good at it now because I have disciplined myself to make sure that I'm very organized within my thought, but I'm very organized with the priorities at hand and where those are placed. So what I've done in my business, at least, is I have a working document in a Google Doc, and on that doc, it says high priority items and thoughts. Thoughts are things you can get to. Priorities are tasks and projects. So within this, I have these segments, and if you ever looked at my document, what you'll see is that priority tasks. So the priority tasks are things that as things come up throughout the day, I add them to the list, and at night, I reprioritize where I'm at. And as I'm working in the day, so during the day you have meetings, and in those meetings, you're just making sure, like, you're meeting with departments. So you're making sure that that's moving along and their projects are moving along. So you always have meetings that you have to attend, but in between meetings, you're working on tasks, the things that I need to get to the finish line or the things that I'm working on. Tasks can change. And so my priority of tasks where I might have, there's never no more than like 15 things. Now things get added and things get deleted. So there's usually never less than 8 and there's never more than say 20. But as I check those off along the way, or I give notification because I'm adding to these constantly. Because as something comes across in my mind that I need to get this done, I've disciplined myself to add it to the sheet so I don't forget about it. Because as we start thinking about so many things we need to do, we forget about things that we should be doing. That's just what happens because your mind's constantly thinking about so many things. So I've disciplined myself to add it to the sheet. If I add it to the sheet, at least it's there. And then I can decide what to do with it. So I work through the day through tasks, and then I'm reprioritizing tasks, I'm deleting tasks that have gotten accomplished, and then I'm adding tasks that I need to get done. And these are like more little things. These are more things that you just need to do. Then there's projects. The projects are on a Google Drive that I have, and my projects are based on department. So each department that we have has a vice president. That vice president is working on a variety of projects all the time. As projects get complete, you take them off the list, but while they're being worked on, those projects need updates. So a project could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, it just depends on the project. But those are documented within the drive to where so once a week I meet with my vice president. So every department in our company, you get one either 30-minute or a 45-minute session where I'm reviewing to just put my eyes on things, make sure it's moving in the right direction and holding people accountable, right? High level of autonomy, but oversight. And now what that allows me to do is be confident that the things are moving along or the current things that they're working on are getting optimized. Are we getting better? Show me the reporting, right? But then we can hold our VPs accountable to making sure that they're doing what they need to do. Those are projects that whether you're working on internally as an individual or if you have oversight, basically what am I working on that takes some time and that has an end in mind. So a project is saying, the reason you start a project is to enhance and improve. What are we trying to enhance and improve? As an example, we've had a couple meetings over this past hour here where I'm working on projects that deal with our distribution and mission control and working on projects that enhance our onboarding and training experience. Now there's people that you have to pull into these meetings, but when you segment these out into focusing on the priority of that specific project, here's who's responsible for this side. So if it's tech related in a workflow, here's who's responsible, that would be Miranda. If it's messaging related within that workflow, it might be Ken. If it's onboarding related into when you host those onboarding meetings, it's Amanda. So we're collectively trying to get this project, which is enhancing and optimizing our onboarding and training. We're meeting on this until we feel comfortable that we've done a better job than we have in the past. Now, this is a project that we're redoing in a sense because we already have an onboarding process. We already have a training process, but we need to get it better. We need to optimize. So this is an optimization project to make sure as we grow and scale, as we add new tools, new systems, all this stuff, that we're doing it the right way and giving the right training and onboarding and the right experience to our agents. It's the same thing with our earlier meeting at Mission Control. We want to make sure that the partners that we work with, one, our current partnerships, that we're enhancing and optimizing our messaging to them and getting them the best agents possible with our distribution. But also when we onboard new partners and new markets, how do we make the awareness available in a more efficient manner instead of as much manual work as we're doing? So this is just leveling up within our organization to get better. So if you're looking at a project, the way you should view a project is something that's going to take time, that's going to better my business. There's always an end result. So when we start a project, it's why are we starting the project? What is the ultimate goal of this project? And how long do we think it's going to take to get there? Who's responsible for what segments? And then we start meeting and reporting on it. So when you start thinking about what you got to do, if you start documenting these things and the Scatterbrain Syndrome of just add it to the list, if you start there, it's like an open house. If you show up, it's half the battle. If you just start putting your thoughts or you're putting your tasks in a document, just add it. Don't even think about it, just add it, because odds are you will forget about it. But if you just take 2 seconds to add it, you at least won't forget about it. And if you want to address it tomorrow, there's things that have been on my list for a couple weeks. I haven't gotten to it yet because there's other priorities, but that stuff's there. So when you start just working off of a working document that you can always reference, it's on my phone, it's a Google Doc. I click the tab and boom, it's open, it takes 2 seconds. Or if I'm at home, the Google Doc does not leave the tabs on my computer. It is always up because I'm referencing that document tab of my tasks and projects. I'm referencing that 30 times a day. And so it really helps me because I never lose my train of thought. And then it also helps me organize what is next in the priority line. Because we have so many meetings now, there's so many Zooms, there's so many Google meetings, there's all those things that your workday now, a lot of it is consistent of I can't get a lot of tasks done because I'm constantly meeting with folks. Well, that doesn't help improve efficiency. Efficiency is improved when you are working on tasks and projects to better you, the individual, or better your team that you're responsible for. And meetings get in the way of that. Now, meetings are part of the gig. You gotta have meetings, you gotta meet with partners, you gotta meet with agents, you gotta meet with your team, right? But you also gotta get to work. And so for those that have that scatterbrain syndrome of I'm always thinking of so many things I gotta do and this and that, but I never seem to get them to the finish line, or I struggle with execution on things, it's probably because you don't have a system in place to help you with your train of thought. And once you dial that in, mine's not sophisticated, by the way. It's literally me typing on a document, but I don't lose sight of things. And then again, as the day goes, I reprioritize and I get some things done, I add things to the list. So it's really helped me stay more focused on knowing I don't need to worry about forgetting things, because what I've done is disciplined myself to at least take action on any thought that I have to put it on that working document. So, maybe that works for you. And if it does, I'd love to hear if it does, but it's really helped me with Scatterbrain Syndrome and trying to be more focused and more deliberate on the things that I think are important to myself and to our organization.